The theater was quiet in a way that felt almost gentle. The lights were low, not dark, just soft enough to slow the breath. Rows of empty seats curved toward the stage like calm waves, waiting. The air carried the faint smell of dust and warm metal from the lights above. Somewhere far back, a clock ticked. It was not loud, but it was steady, and once you noticed it, it was hard to forget. Simon Cowell sat at the judge's table, his hands resting flat, his face still. He had seen thousands of performances in rooms like this. Big voices, loud dreams, shaky starts and sudden magic. Yet tonight felt different, though nothing had happened yet. The room itself seemed to be holding something back. The stage was empty, no music played, no one spoke. The contestant stood just out of the light, waiting for a signal that did not come. Shoes planted, shoulders tight, the kind of stillness that comes when someone is trying not to show how fast their heart is beating. The problem was simple and heavy at the same time. This moment mattered. It mattered too much. Simon leaned back slightly, his eyes on the stage. He did not rush. He did not raise his hand. He did not speak. The clock kept ticking. In most auditions, time moved quickly. A cue, a note, a reaction. Sometimes a buzz, sometimes applause. But tonight, Simon let the clock run. Seconds stretched into something larger, like long shadows at sunset. The silence grew thick, but not sharp. It felt thoughtful, almost kind. The contestant swallowed. Breath moved in and out, slow now, slower than before. Without music, without words, there was nothing to hide behind. Just the sound of breathing and the faint hum of electricity from the lights. Simon watched carefully. He had learned long ago that people showed their truth in quiet moments. Not when they were trying to impress, but when they were waiting. When they thought no one was guiding them anymore. The audience, small for this early round, shifted in their seats. A cough echoed, then faded. The room returned to stillness. The clock ticked on. Finally, the contestant stepped forward into the light. No cue had been given. No signal, just a choice made in silence. That choice mattered. The performance began without music. A voice, soft and unsure at first, filled the space. It was not perfect. It wavered. It cracked once, just slightly. But it was honest. Each word landed gently, like it had been carried there by patience rather than force. Simon did not move. He listened. The song told a simple story. Of waiting, of trying again, of standing still while the world asked you to hurry. The words were not fancy. The melody was not big. But the feeling was real, and it moved slowly, the way deep things often do. As the song continued, the contestant's shoulders loosened. The voice steadied, not because it became louder, but because it became calmer. The room seemed to breathe with it. Even the clock felt quieter, though it did not stop. Simon's face remained unreadable. He had learned how to do that on purpose. Not to hide cruelty, but to protect attention. He wanted to hear everything without shaping it too soon. The final note faded. No echo followed, just silence again. This was usually the moment when someone spoke. A comment, a judgment, a yes or a no. But Simon stayed quiet. He let the clock run. The silence now felt heavier than before, but also warmer. It wrapped around the contestant, who stood very still, eyes forward, hands at their sides. The problem returned, sharper now. Waiting is harder after you have given something away. The audience watched Simon. They knew his power. A single word from him could lift a life or send it sideways. They expected movement, a nod, a frown, anything. Simon folded his hands. The clock ticked. In that stretch of time, something subtle changed. The contestant's face shifted, not with fear, but with acceptance. Whatever happened next, the performance was over. The truth had already been shared. There was a quiet strength in that realization. Simon noticed it. He leaned forward, just a little. I asked you to wait, he said calmly, though no one remembered him asking. And you did. That's harder than singing. The room felt like it exhaled. Simon stood up slowly. Chairs moved softly behind him, but no one spoke. His eyes never left the stage. You see, he continued, most people rush to fill silence. They're afraid of it, but silence tells me more than noise ever could. He paused again. The clock ticked. The contestant blinked, listening. I let the clock run, Simon said, because I wanted to see who you were without being pushed. Another pause, longer this time. Then Simon smiled. It was small, but it reached his eyes. And you didn't run away. Applause started, hesitant at first, then fuller. Not loud, not wild, but steady and sincere. The kind of applause that feels like hands saying thank you. Simon raised a hand gently, and the room quieted again. This show isn't just about big moments, he said. It's about real ones. And tonight, you gave us something real. He returned to his seat. The clock kept ticking, but now it felt friendly, like a reminder rather than a threat. The contestant nodded, eyes shining but calm. No tears fell. There was no collapse into emotion. Just a deep breath and a small smile. Relief did not rush in. It settled slowly, the way peace does when it plans to stay. The rest of the judges offered their thoughts, but they did not rush either. Each word felt chosen, each pause respected. The room stayed gentle. As the contestant left the stage, Simon watched them go. He did not clap loudly. He did not shout praise. He simply nodded once, to himself. Later, when the lights dimmed and the room emptied, Simon remained seated for a moment. The clock still ticked. He liked that sound. It reminded him that time did not have to be fought. Sometimes it just needed to be allowed. He stood, straightened his jacket, and walked toward the exit. The stage was empty now, but the feeling remained. A quiet proof that slowing down could change everything. Outside, the night air was cool. Simon paused before stepping into his car. He listened, not for the clock, but for the echo of the voice that had filled the room without being asked. Letting the clock run had been his final move. Not a trick, not a test, just space. And in that space, something honest had happened. The engine started. The night moved on. Time, patient as ever, kept going.